feels so abstract. Yeah, it's complicated what you say, the way you act. Well, it makes me so confused. I don't know what to do anymore. Can't you just make up your mind? My heart drops when you play around. How can you be up when I'm down? Don't wanna think about it right now. Maybe you just wanna be friends, but there is a fight when we are talking. Maybe you just wanna pretend, but I can read between the lines. Even if I can't deny that all the things you said are hurting, still wanna be with you. I think you want it too. 'Cause baby, I don't wanna be.
Good morning, everyone. I was getting all involved in the music there. I forgot I was actually going live. How are you all doing this morning? I hope everyone's enjoying the summit so far. I know it's early. You've probably only watched one or two presentations so far, but I hope you've watched mine. It was all about die cut inlay or inlaid die cut. I always called it inlaid die cut, but I hear other people say die cut inlay. So I've got my cards here, and just to remind you that what my technique was, and I've got 4 different techniques actually. I've got what I called simple inlay, where you just inlay a simple shape. Then I've got pro inlay, where you can inlay a whole sentiment. And when I say inlay, like everything is cut, everything's flat one layer, because I've cut each piece and then put it back together like a puzzle. So everything's super flat for mailing, which is great. And it also gets a big wow reaction from people, but it can be tricky. So then I came up with, what did I call this one? I think faux or cheater. This is cheater. This is cheater inlay. So it looks just about the same, but it's a very different technique. So you'll need to watch my video to see that. And then I've got faux inlay. And this is where it looks like I inlaid all these little pink and yellow pieces, but I didn't really. And that's a super easy technique. And it's a technique that you can try out, because my giveaway is 4 of these Eternal Flame cover plates. So you can try to make the exact same card if you want. Just go to the giveaway page and sign up for my giveaway. It is available internationally. I will ship the cover plate to you wherever you are in the world, and you'll be able to try out my faux inlay technique. So no questions. I must be an excellent teacher, or you haven't watched the lesson yet. So anybody at all? Goodness. Okay. Well, let me think about what to talk about then. Another thing I'm doing with the summit later in the summit on Saturday is I'm doing a demonstration with one of our sponsors with a new tool. It's an adaptation of the tool that I've shown in the past that you guys are going to like. It's much more suited to card making. So come back on Saturday. Question: where did I get the turntable for my Gemini Junior? That's a great question. I have 2 turntables in my craft room, actually. One is underneath my Gemini Junior, which you can see right there. And it just makes it easy to push things through and pull it out. It's hard to describe how that makes it easier. I don't know that it's a game changer or anything, but it is nice. That was a $10 turntable from Amazon. The other turntable I use in my craft room is for ink blending. And it's a tool that was designed to be used in a craft room. It has a, what do you call those things? Self-healing mat on top, right? So that craft mat that we use a lot. So it's very smooth. And I use that. I actually put a sticky grip mat on top, and I use that when I'm coloring or when I'm ink blending. You know, when you're ink blending and you have to kind of come in from the other side and it's so awkward. This, you just shift your paper around, and it moves really smoothly, and it works really well. Coloring and ink blending, that is definitely a game changer. And like I say, that was We Are Makers, I think is the brand name. So that was a craft specific tool, but you could use this Amazon one. I can't figure out where to point. The one that I have under my turntable, which was about $10 on Amazon, but it is bumpy on top. So you would definitely need to find something to make it smooth if you're going to do ink blending. So that's a great question. Nope, my giveaway is on the giveaway page. Just keep scrolling down. The sponsor giveaways are at the top, and then all the speaker giveaways are at the bottom. Okay. How did I become involved in paper crafting? Okay, that's another, I think like probably, I bet 80% of us, we got invited to a party. I got invited to a Stampin' Up! Party in 2006. And I just fell in love with the stamping and the coloring. And yeah, it just grew from there. So I've been stamping since 2006. I've been blogging only since 2012. And then I started my YouTube channel in 2017. So I've been on YouTube for about, what is that? 7 years already? Oh my goodness. Yes. So yeah, there's quite a few videos on my YouTube channel with lots of techniques and tools and tips. So be sure to check that out. What is the best part of this craft industry that you totally enjoy the most? Oh, that's a really great question. I mean, the best part is the people, right? Like that goes without saying. I meet people, like so many of my friends, so many of my best friends now are people I've met online. Some people I've never met in real life. But others, like there's a group of Toronto crafters here that we met online, but we now get together in real life a couple of times a year. And that's really great. I like the innovation of all the creative people. I love seeing all the new tools. I love seeing all the new products. And for me, it's a real balance because I want to have it all. I want to try it all. Actually, that's really it. I want to try it all. I don't necessarily want to keep it all. I want to try everything. But I also find that if I have too much stuff in my room, I don't know, what do you call that? Decision fatigue or something, where like the options are overwhelming and I can't get started. So I'm always in a balance of trying to figure out what is worth having in my room and when it's time to let stuff go. So that's a great question. I think I saw a question go by about my favorite inks. And I generally use Catherine Pooler's inks. They are dye inks. They come on a foam pad. They are super juicy. They are great for all the techniques I like to do, the ink blending, the water splatting, the direct to paper. So those are my favorite inks. I have recently been branching out into some new inks from Lisa Horton, and she is another speaker at the summit. She owns a craft company in the UK, and she's got these interference inks that are shimmery. I'm just looking to see if I have any nearby because I've been using them. They're shimmery, and they shimmer different colors if they're on white cardstock or if they're on black cardstock. Like they're super cool. So I'm just starting to get my feet wet with those. But when I definitely check out her presentation, and you'll see some of her products that she's using. Jeanette is asking, do you need a special machine for cover plates? You do need a die cutting machine, but you don't need a special die. It just needs to be big enough for it to go through. And what I would suggest is if you're putting any rectangle, whether or square, anything with a long straight edge, I would try and put it through your sandwich so that one corner is going through first. And I think you'll get better results. If you're having any trouble getting all the little pieces out, just try adding a cardstock shim to your sandwich just to increase that pressure just a little bit. And that should help you as well. That's a great question. LaShawn says, how did I first get started doing inlay die cutting? If you go way, way back, I started, that was one of the techniques I started very early on. And I think I was aware of the concept because my great-grandfather used to do it with pieces of wood, where he would cut, like he'd cut the, what's it called? There's a word for it. He would make little scenes out of scraps of different kinds of wood. So they would all have different colors, and marquetry, I think it's called. So I was aware of the concept. So when I started die cutting, and I really like that flat look that you can get when you inlay. And your die cutting machine is your best friend with this, because even after you inlay it and you think it's flat, if you run it through your die cutting machine with no dies, just the plates to flatten it out, you'll be amazed. It'll feel like one piece of paper. It's really amazing the how smooth you can get it. How did you get involved in card making, and how did you end up doing professionally? I got involved in card making. I started with a Stampin' Up! Party, as I said, and I did not go professional for a very long time. Over time, I started posting my cards. Way back in the day, the only place to post was on Split Coast Stampers. I don't know if anybody else remembers that. I'm actually still involved with Split Coast Stampers. I'm a hostess for one of their challenges. And then blogging came along, and I started a blog, and then I started. So if you want to get noticed and you want to become a professional, I started by just using products I loved, but tagging the manufacturers. And they will often leave you comments to say, oh, we love what you've done with our stuff. And over time, they'll notice you, and they'll notice your work. And a few of them started asking me to be on their design teams, including Catherine Pooler, and a few others. And so I did some design team work for a number of years. And so I guess that's kind of professional. And then once I added my video channel, that really opened up the opportunities. Companies want to have people who can do videos to promote their product. So I did those for a while. And then I got to a point where I thought, you know what, I'd really rather just work on my own timelines. And one of the things I love to do is combine products from different companies. So obviously that isn't necessarily something a company really wants to hire you to do. They're happy to see you use the products. But so now I'm at the point where I have just, I'm just doing what I want. But I had done all that other work to kind of establish myself, to get in front of audiences. So people now follow me on my YouTube channel, and I get paid by YouTube. I get paid by affiliate links, and now I'm helping with Brandy at the summits and behind the scenes on some of her other projects as well. So yeah, it's great to be a professional crafter. Where do you get your inspiration for techniques? That's an interesting question. For techniques specifically, that's an interesting question. I get inspiration from everywhere. I'm always, I follow a lot of artists on Instagram, and I will try and translate the look of something to what I've got, using the tools I've got, using the supplies I've got. One of the things I like to do, you may know already, I invented a little word called LIMES. It's an acronym, and it's just a checklist to help you look at an inspiration piece and then translate it into your own. So the L stands for list. So you go through and you list, what are the colors that were used? What are the elements that were used? What are the techniques that are used? And then you choose the things you want to include in your card. And that's, so I stands for include, M stands for modify. So, you know, you may want to change the colors. You may want to, instead of a tulip, use a daisy, or, you know, I just an odd example there. Then E stands for anything you might want to exclude. So often if I'm looking at an inspiration that has like a button or a ribbon on it because it's older, I tend not to, I don't have buttons or ribbons, so I exclude the buttons or ribbon. And then S stands for spin, which is just, you know, what's your own little signature finishing touch that you might want to add to a card. So yeah, like I say, I get inspiration everywhere I look. Great question. Is there upkeep on my sticky mat to remove? Okay, so the sticky mat that I use a grip mat. These are waffle flower grip mats that I'm using right now. I did use, when they first came out, you know, those ones that are like cricket mats? I used those at first, and I found that they worked really well for a while. And then they did start losing their stick, and you did need to, you know, you couldn't clean it properly because that would actually take the stick off. So now I'm using the waffle flower grip mats, which are big. I've got one right here, I'm sure. So here's my turntable, and that's got a 6-inch, let's take that. It's got a 6-inch sticky mat. Now you can see that they stain over time, but this is made out of the same material that your stamps are made out of. So anytime that it doesn't get, it's not sticky anymore, I just take it to the sink and I rinse it off with soapy water, and it becomes sticky again. I use it on my turntable. I use one in my mini Misty instead of the mouse pad. And I use one in my original Misty instead of the mouse pad. And that way you don't need magnets because your paper is actually sticking to the grip mat. When they're new, the paper can stick to them. So it's best to just be very super careful, or to peel the mat back from the paper rather than the paper from the mat. Okay. What are all those sheets of paper behind you with the half circle? Oh, okay. Which way am I going? Okay, so those are my stamp bins. Those bins have all my stamps, all my dies, all my embossing folders, all my stencils. Yeah, that's it. So everything is listed by manufacturer. What's in front? Those are just art pieces, I guess, in front. They're made with the Stencils 360, which is the tool that I'm going to be helping to demonstrate on Saturday. There's a new one, a smaller one, that we'll be showing you on Saturday. I just wanted to have some rainbow punch of color in my room. So those are just, you know, like the front pieces of my bins. What inks do I use for my gorgeous backgrounds? Made my Target card. I had to use pattern paper. Oh, okay. So I think you're talking about this card. And that background came from this, I think. I think I cut that. I think I cut these circles from this. Yes, I did. Okay, this background was actually one that I created ages ago. I have a bin of backgrounds. I created this ages ago with what I call the easiest background technique ever. If you've got a gel plate, if you don't have a gel plate, you can use a grip mat, or you can just use a slick surface. Watercolor powders, and I've got some Lindy's Magicals. I've got some old Ken Oliver color bursts, and I'm trying to think what else. Nouveau shimmer powders. and paper. And you sprinkle some of the watercolor powder on your surface. You spritz it with a heck of a lot of water, and you put the paper down in it. And when I'm doing that, I use something called Neenah index paper, which is thicker than printer paper, but it's not as thick as cardstock. And it warps like crazy. But because it's thin, as it dries, you can flatten it back out. And when you glue it to a card, it flattens back out. You can run it through your die cutting machine, just, in a sandwich, no dies, and it flattens out. But the way those watercolor powders mix and blend, it's incredible. Definitely, I think it's called the easiest background technique ever. I have a full video of it on my YouTube channel. It's a quick video. It's definitely worth a watch. And it's such an addictive technique that, I had my whole room covered in drying backgrounds, and I'm still using them now. So thanks for that. Okay, Erin says it's time to go. It was great seeing you. I hope you enjoy the rest of this summit. Please, if you have any questions for me, tag me in the Facebook group, and feel free to follow me on all my social media, my YouTube channel, and I'll see you there. Thanks, everyone. Bye.